let's talk about the elephant in the room, rather the mech in the room, the B.R.U.T.E mech. Not a lot of people are liking the B.R.U.T mech. A lot of people think it's way OP. It might be the most OP video game character since Bo Jackson in Tecmo Bowl, and yet here it stays. Yes, the spawns have been nerfed a little bit through each ring, however, or through each circle, I should say, but it's there. People don't like it. It's part of this competition. It's here to stay. Do you think that, hey, too bad, so sad, you want the money, you adapt, or continue to complain and say, Fortnite, take it out?
This is my unimpressed face for Epic Games. Because, look, like, at this point, you have to adapt. I hate to say that because I think it's totally unfair, but like we've hounded that on.
But why is it unfair? This is everyone knows.
Airstrikes, mechs, right? But
everybody knows, though. Everybody knows.
I know. So many people play this game strictly for the money.
What is the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result.
I mean, you can make the argument in the inverse, right? Like the community's just going to complain about everything they do because they are doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? And so, yeah, the expectation should be that Epic is going to do stupid crap to their game and insert a bunch of things that are either broken or make it unfair. And you know what? This is like, I'll just be totally like hard on the sleeve here. Fortnite is not my favorite battle royale. I much prefer something like PUBG or even Blackout, which has much less of a player base because it's a lot more fair. Reminds me of games like Counter-Strike that are a lot more down the middle as a shooter. And so whatever, like until those games sort of and Apex Legends cough up the money to make other people want to go play sort of the battle royales that are down to the middle and come straight down to skill and not a bunch of other RNG things, then whatever. Fortnite's going to continue to be popular. There's nothing anyone can do about it. And so if you're a pro, I guess you just adapt. And
okay, I know you're very resigned here, Jacob, but Tyler, listen, the money is undeniable, right? How many players did we talk to at the Fortnite World Cup that said, look, I might be better suited playing a different BR game or even a different esports title, but the money is so irresistible that I grind this game and it feels like a job. And I wonder if it's just much of the same here with the B.R.U.T mech, or just learn it and adapt and get better.
Yes, but I reached out recently for an article on ESPN.com about, remove the mech and the movement on Twitter and other social media. I reached out to Tfue, I reached out to Benji Fishy, and both of them want it removed, and they both think it's a cheap gimmick thrown into it. And I think the reason why it's worse than, the airstrike or other things that have been thrown in is that there's little counterplay. There's no counterplay really to the mech, and it's so random now. Even if the spawn rates, it's that you're hoping you don't get a mech in your game. The reason why the mech is so terrible, and the reason why I talk to these pros and they're so upset by it, some of them think it's worse than the Infinity Blade, which is considered the apex of terrible items and gimmicks thrown in by Epic Games. They think it's worse than the Infinity Blade because the Infinity Blade, you could counterplay it to in a way. It had, a range, it was melee, you could play around it. With the mech, it's so hard to play against it. It's a giant mech. It's what it is. It's a giant mech that stomps around and shoots things, has tons of health, and they randomly spawn across the map. So if you're a pro player, if you're a Benji Fishy, if you're a Booga, and we saw at the Fortnite World Cup, that skill did win in the day. Booga was by far the best player on the day in the solos division at the World Cup, and that's why it was so amazing. That's why now he has 1 million followers on Instagram, is because his building, his precision, his game 1 win when he had the jump shot with shooting from the gun at the bomb. When he was on the bomb, he did the recoil up to get the kill to win the game. Those were the moments that we were like, wow, I saw you order. Like, wow, this is amazing. That was awesome. With the mecha, a random player now can get in a mech and kill Booga. We might not, if the mech was in during the Fortnite World Cup solos, Booga might not have won. Even if he played that well, if his building was that sharp and precise and his aim and everything was on point, some stupid kid, some 12-year-old could go in the mech playing on his iPad, shot him down in the mech, and he'd be done. That's why everyone's so mad, because there's no counterplay and it's so easy to use. Everything in esports, everything that makes something great in esports has counterplay. Even if it's OP, there's usually a counterplay around it. You can't counterplay the mech, and that's why it's trash.
Jacob, last point.
And that's that is why Fortnite is not for us. We are not the target audience for this game. The 12-year-old that's sitting on his couch playing on the iPad or the Switch, that's the target audience of this game. They want to make feel like everybody can participate, and that's not the case. The esports consumer or the esports long-term player where we like fairness, we are not the audience. And you know what? I'm getting to the point where we just have to accept that from Epic.
Whether you agree or disagree, let us know in the comments of this video, and please click that subscribe button here at youtube.com/ESPN Esports. Don't forget round-the-clock esports coverage available at ESPN.com/esports.